Pokemon cards in 2026 are a lot of things, though I'm going to tell you what they're not. They ain't cheap. So in this video, I want to uncover how to collect Pokemon cards in this insane 2026 market without feeling like you're just burning the candle at both ends. I mean, let's get serious. No one wants to pay 20 USD for one booster pack. That's just not that fun. And most certainly, you're almost looking at disappointing returns when opening the pack when you pay such a high price premium. Then I suppose the question becomes, how do you build a collection in the current climate? I know the hobby's expensive right now, man. Please don't get discouraged. I know things seem really out of reach and it just feels like you're always behind. And I suppose before getting into the practical tips of this video, I do want to cover one super important aspect, and that is do not compare your collection to others. Even though there's all these practical tips of how to collect and how to do all these things, this is a much bigger, important lesson about not overspending in the current market. You need to remember what you see online, or like whenever you see someone's crazy grail or the chase card that they pull, what you're seeing is often the perfect case scenario because people just naturally share their wins far more than their losses. I just think it's a really important thing to avoid that self-comparison, because in this hobby, it's quite ego-driven, okay? Collectibles just naturally pull that out of people. It's a thing about this hobby. You go to card shows, you meet people, everyone wants to one-up one another of what their collections are. The problem with collectibles, it just has this natural way of attracting egos as well. So before you even think about this overspending or anything like that, and before I get into all these practical tips, it's just super important to not compare yourself to anyone or any of your friends or anything, because yeah, you can get yourself in a bit of a pickle right there, right? Though the one key area that we need to speak about is undervalued Pokemon cards. So the funny thing about this is at any given point, at any time in the market, there's always an undervalued Pokemon card. Right now, there was one last year, there was one 3 years ago. There's always a card that is sitting under the radar, and eventually a lot of people will start wanting this card and it starts becoming quite expensive. Now the key here, when Pokemon cards are this expensive, a real key strategy is purchasing or learning to spot undervalued Pokemon cards. Now I do have a video, I'll link it right here for you if you are interested in that topic. But what I really want to uncover is the undervalued Pokemon card phenomenon, or how it kind of works, because there is always a card that is undervalued in the market, and that is probably a key strategy that you need to kind of equip yourself with in the current market. Now, what defines an undervalued Pokemon card and how you can spot them? Usually, if I want to just kind of keep this really simple, because like I said, there is a whole video on that, but usually if it's a very popular Pokemon and it is in a high rarity, and as well, very likely for a lot of cards previously, if it is a promo card, that usually starts ticking a lot of those boxes that have made previously undervalued Pokemon cards spike heavily in price. Real common examples of this are the Mew 151 Special Illustration Rare, the promo from the 151 UPC. That one's had enormous increases in price. Same with the Kingdra promo from Shrouded Fable or the Greninja promo. These cards usually tend to have big movements because of their high rarity and things like that. So that is a thing that you need to consider as well when it comes to like equipping yourself with that kind of knowledge in today's market. You know, the days are gone of the luxury where you could just look at any booster box that you wanted online and you just be able to purchase that whenever you wanted. Those days are like gone. Like now it's so different. You rarely, if there's a really incredible set like Ascended Heroes or Destined Rivals, they get sold out straight away. And then you're in this kind of constant position where you're kind of pretty much chasing, you're trying to keep up, you're playing catch up. Even if there's Pokemon cards that you love and you think the illustrations are great, there's always a chance they could climb later in the future. Something especially like with illustration rares. This is a really unique time in Pokemon, because with the creation of illustration rares and special illustration rares, you've got some of the most unique looking cards from particular Pokemon. And as the journey goes on, and as Pokemon grows and people look back, they're gonna want these in their collections because they're essentially such a unique one-for-one. And even though every Pokemon card is essentially a one-for-one, it's always unique. I think that we can all agree that when you have it as an illustration rare, it does give it just that big of a difference than just like a standard Pokemon card. Now, also as important as collecting on a budget is, so is tracking your collection, and Collector is one of the best ways to do that, who are the sponsors of today's video. Now, if you're serious about tracking your collection and seeing long-term price movements, then Collector is easily one of the best ways to do that. Collector actually has a lot of cool features, and it works more than just a collectible price tracker. For example, it's a must-have tool when you're at card shows. Here with the Trade Analyzer feature, you can actually place in what you're offering versus what you'll be receiving, and you can see if it's a fair match based on the current market prices. One aspect I love about Collector is how it allows me to actually separate my portfolio. So as you can see here, I can separate my sealed Pokemon versus my PSA 10 Pokemon cards, my sealed Dragon Ball cards. You can get a whole big picture, and it's super useful. Collector is easily a must-have tool. You can find all the details to download the Collector app in the video's description. A big thanks to them for always supporting the channel. Now back to the video. Now another area is pre-ordering your sets. So right now I find one of the easiest ways, especially with how expensive the hobby has become, is to pre-order your sets. And the best way to do that is as soon as the pre-order is available. And I found in my experience that usually, or like if a new set drops, pretty much you have 1 to 4 days to lock in a pre-order. The reason why you can pre-order a bit easier in 2026 is because most major retailers do have pre-order limits right now and purchasing limits. So for EB Games in Australia, I know it's usually 2 booster boxes and that's done in there. And a lot of places around the world are like that as well. So with that, you will be, if you're early, you should be able to pre-order a set. And that is the key area to purchasing it for as close to, well, you will get it for retail price if you pre-order a set, especially from a major retailer. Sure, it might be like the prices might go 10, 20 bucks, a bit difference, but they're generally around that market. You're not going to be paying double retail price from a major retailer for a pre-ordered set. The big thing you want to avoid is chasing older sets, and that's a thing that's all too common. If you feel like you've missed out on Destined Rivals, or if you feel like you've missed out on Ascended Heroes, not everyone is in that position to just chase older sets and pay double or triple retail price. So that's when you kind of have to decide, hey, maybe it's going to be smarter for me to pre-order a future set and pay as close as I can to retail price for that. Now, another area to discuss is waiting for a hype phase to calm down. So usually when a new Pokemon product releases or a new set releases, there's a big hype period, and this is especially true for singles. Like singles are the biggest culprit of this because certain singles get very hyped during a certain time period, and then there's massive momentum on these particular singles. One of the best things you can do is wait for that hype phase to slowly calm down before over leveraging yourself on that, or just get good at kind of deciphering whether or not it's getting hyped for a certain reason. Is it market manipulation? A lot of content creators speaking about this certain card, because it's very likely that after a few months that it's going to calm down, especially for new sets when they release. The worst kind of time to traditionally buy Pokemon cards for a new set is when they just release, or in those first month or two after that release. Usually by waiting a good amount of time, like 6 months to a year, prices do tend to be a bit more stabilized, and it's usually a better time to purchase them. That is a real big thing, especially in 2026, is you don't want to be purchasing Pokemon cards the moment they release, because even though you want the card in your collection, what's really funny is, and I found this to be a really good strategy, is if I sometimes really like a new card, okay, a good example is the Greninja from Twilight Masquerade. I loved it on release. I wanted to buy it on release. I was like, oh, I just really want it. Now, I didn't buy it the moment it released. I actually waited. It was about 8 months after it released to purchase it and add it to my collection. But the good strategy with that is that I waited, and I could see that, hey, after 8 months of release, I still want this in my collection. A big thing you don't want to do, because there's a lot of cards that drop, like Iron Hands from Prismatic Evolutions and Raging Bolt as well. I really wanted them in my collection when they released. I really did, but now I can see that right now would be a much better time to buy these. So that's why seeing when there's a hype period, like for example, like just off the top of my head in 2026, Ascended Heroes is really hyped right now. The prices are astronomical. I'm not saying that prices going to come down. It's very likely they may, but right now with how the market's heading, Ascended Heroes is just going up and up, and it's getting pretty crazy on how insane the prices for that are. So that's why if something feels really expensive and you really want it in your collection, sometimes while waiting it out, you can see like, hey, do I still want it? I mean, I remember with weight loss, my fitness coach always said, yeah, you're hungry now, but just wait an hour, see if you're still hungry. And what's really interesting is when you're feeling really hungry and you're trying to, you're in a calorie deficit, you're trying to lose weight, and then you're like, wow, I felt really hungry an hour ago. Now by just waiting it out, I'm not really that hungry anymore. Now that's kind of like the same thing with like wanting things as well. Like you initially really want it, but if you just wait it out, if you still got that insane appetite and that insane desire for that card, then it's a good idea to buy it, because you can see it's a true, genuine thing that you want. but a lot of the time you can get just influenced of what's really popular online. Now, another area is just being okay with missing out. And in 2026, especially with how insane the Pokemon market is, this is an important skill to have. Being okay with missing out on popular sets and popular Pokemon cards is really, really important right now, because a lot of people just like, they buy every set. Now, I'm like that too. I buy new sets. I get excited for them and I want them in my collection. And I kind of have a thing like, hey, if I can buy the set, I want to, it's a piece of history. I really want it in my collection, right? I do that too, but also I make sure that I pre-order my sets. I actually, if I missed out on a pre-order and if a set went really crazy in price, I personally wouldn't buy it, because I don't like spending so much over retail on a particular product. But that's my own way I deal with it. Everyone collects differently. Some people are okay with overpaying. It just really depends where you are in your particular journey for collectibles and what you like purchasing as well. My personal favorite way to collect is buying things usually at retail price, and that's usually for like investing in collectibles as well, especially sealed product. When you buy it at retail price, you've effectively bought it as pretty much as close as you can to the base point in the market. Sealed product has a base point in the market. That's why a lot of people love it, is because at a certain point, I mean, it can always happen. It can drop way below retail price. It hasn't happened in a very long time, but you've effectively bought it at the point in the market where it's like, oh yeah, that's the essentially where everyone's agreed that's the retail price or the low point in the market. Soon as you start buying more expensive, there can be things like reprints and things like that to happen. Now, the thing is, and a lot of people who've been investing in Pokemon for a while, a lot of us still have, like I know myself in particular, I have a bit of a thing where I'm like, oh yeah, reprints can really tank a set. Now, the crazy thing is about modern Pokemon, like 2025 onwards modern, like let's just call it super modern Pokemon, reprints haven't really had such devastating effects on the market, right? Like I remember Lost Origin booster boxes, when that reprint happened, that crashed, man. That like literally just all the sealed product for Lost Origin went super, super affordable. That really hasn't happened that much in this new 2025 era, but I'm very confident that one day a big reprint will have that effect on the market and people will get a little bit less bullish and less confident. I think at the moment, the Pokemon collectibles have a huge overconfidence, and I don't blame why people feel that, because if you look at how things have gone throughout the years, everything just goes up after a long period of time. In fact, it's very hard at the moment, like in 2025, if you bought something at retail price, it's very likely it's going to continue to climb. It's just that kind of climate, but that's the season we're in right now. That season will eventually also change and people won't be that excited about that anymore, and it won't have that dramatic pull power like it's had recently. You got to remember as well, collectibles are just people are entering from all parts of the world, from all different genres are jumping into collectibles. People that don't even care about Pokemon are jumping into Pokemon cards. That's really common. Like, and I know you might be thinking, no, it's not. No. I can see on this channel there is so many people, for sport card collectors and everything. They're just interested in Pokemon collectibles at the moment, and a lot of that has to do with pricing. I mean, when you combine all these aspects, you can well and truly begin building a Pokemon collection that is genuinely impressive, though of course it just will take more time than it did in the past. The main thing though is just take time, patience, and care. But I think the future of Pokemon cards, especially with 2026 and beyond, is a very interesting topic and one that a lot of people need to discuss. And if you are curious to see what I think about the future of Pokemon investing, I do explain that all in this video here. Within this video, I go into the future of Pokemon investing and lay it all out there. If you love this video, you're gonna really love the next one. I really appreciate all of you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and yeah, click that video. I'll see you there.